Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the Clever Report. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. So, as of yesterday, I was combing through the streets of X, formerly known as Twitter. Then I came across a speech by a British national with the name Katharine Birbalsingh. And I watched the full clip and the full speech. She was talking about how the British culture is being eroded, how everything that the ancestors fought for is being seen as bad. And no, I watched the full clip and it was very, very insightful. And it comes to the larger conversation of what is happening in the Western society, whereby everything that the ancestors did, I don't know what is happening, how everybody, especially Caucasians, have what we call white guilt. How come everything that their ancestors did is so very, very, very bad? And they are not, they are not allowed to say what they are thinking so that they will not be called racist or called misogynist or all the buzzwords that liberals or these leftists label anybody that is making sense. So the clip is 3 minutes long. The clip I want us to react to is 3 minutes long. So I want us to watch it, and then I'll still link the full speech on the description below. So let's watch the clip, and then I'll give you my own take on that.
Young person what history they learned at school, and they'll tell you Hitler. Ask them what else. Slavery. Ask them what else. American civil rights. In fact, what little they know of history will be all about black and brown people fighting for equality against the white man. Women fighting men for the vote. Gay and trans people fighting for various rights. Our young people have been taught that history is simply one long story about various groups struggling under the oppressive dead white man. Out with Dickens, Shakespeare, Kipling, and Wordsworth.
She is going hard.
History is taught through an oppressor lens. The triangular slave trade, white men held the power. What about Britain ending the slave trade? More than a quick mention, if at all? No. What of the Arab slave trade that lasted 3 times as long as the triangular slave trade? No. Okay, so GCSE history in Britain is often taught as migration through time. So the idea that Britain has always been a land of immigrants is embedded in our children's heads. Most schools would prefer to concentrate learning about the tiny number of black people who existed in Tudor England over a thorough analysis of England's break from Rome. Medieval history becomes her story and is told through the eyes of Eleanor of Aquitaine because, after all, she was a woman. Not to mention weeks on King Mansa Musa of Mali because he was a black Muslim. His bearing on British institutions, laws, and faith is non-existent. And the fact that he is said to have been the richest man in history, thanks in part to his massive slave-owning society, is a detail somehow that teachers rarely ever teach. But it isn't just our schools. It's our general culture, too. Take your kids to a museum or an art gallery in any Western country, and you'll find the same narrative. As an example, when learning about aviation in London's Science Museum and the extraordinary feat that is man making massive machines move in the sky, a write-up on the wall explains that women and black people were historically barred from aviation schools and the military. Similarly, James Watt, the man who invented the steam engine and is considered the founder of the Industrial Revolution, has a write-up on the wall explaining that his early career involved slave trafficking with a bonus analysis of the whole of Britain's complicity in the slave trade. They flatten the entire human story and all of its complexities into the narrative of oppressor and oppressed.
After watching the whole clip, I was asking myself, how come you've not heard about this lady? I did a little research on her. It shows that she's been the forefront of revitalizing the education system in the United Kingdom. Everything she said, she hit the hair on the head. She hit the nail on the head because everything she's saying is true. People come out to say how oppressive the bad and evil white men are. Talk about, in the history of the world, everybody's talking about Hitler, what he did in the Second World War, and then the civil rights. Nobody's talking about all the good things these white men did. Yes, slavery is very, very bad, but I'll keep saying, especially slavery in Africa. The African chieftains or the African warlords sold their kings, sold their military aged men and women to these white men. That doesn't absorb the white men because this is a crime against humanity, yes. But slavery was prevalent in that world. In the old world, everybody owned slaves. Almost everybody. It was just like they eat or be eaten. If you're conquered or a village or a tribe is conquered, their women are taking slaves, and their men, some are killed, and some that are still able to walk are taking slaves. That is a barbaric way of living, but that was what was prevalent in the old world. So talking about the history is just basically all the groups fighting against the white men, the LGBTQ fighting against the white men, the women fighting against the white men, the black and brown people fighting against the white men. It's crazy. It is crazy, but nobody's talking about all the inventions the white men did. Because of the ingenuity of the white men, many inventions that we enjoy, how many modern conveniences, the structures or the civilization they've built. See the beautiful cathedrals they built in Europe. Nobody's talking about that. It's crazy. And even when it comes to this slavery thing, nobody's talking about for the fact that on the 28th of August 1833, the British Parliament officially abolished slavery in 1833. 1833. But even after the abolishment of slavery in the Arab nation, there were still slaves. Even today in Libya, people are still owning slaves. So I don't think that if we keep blaming the white men, that is going to solve our problem in the world. No, they have their own problems, but that doesn't mean that they are responsible for all the problems in the world. No, I don't believe that. It's crazy. Just like these people running around in the United States, these black people running around talking about how they need the average white person to give them reparation. That is crazy. Maybe the average white person that is lineage didn't even own slaves. How are you going to, ascertain who owned slave and who didn't? So because there is a dark time in the history of the Western civilization, that means every other thing that their ancestors did should be abolished. It's crazy. I keep saying shame on certain white people that have this white guilt. Because you cannot tell me that my ancestors are all bad. Yes, I'm sure maybe if you go through my lineage, there are certain places my ancestors did bad, but that doesn't mean that I'll denounce them as my ancestors. But there is widespread white guilt. White people talking down on their ancestors, feeling sorry. The problem is that it has to take a brown woman to actually say this for this to resonate. Many white people are afraid to say this kind of thing so that they will not be called racist or misogynist or evil or homophobic. It is very crazy. So the Western, I keep saying it, white guilt and a little bit of liberal white women are going to ruin the Western civilization. And the Western civilization gave birth to almost everything we have in the world currently. Yes, they are not perfect. Yes, they still find a way to, submerge certain of interests of Africa and every other thing. But on a scale of 1 to 100, they've done things that they should be commended for. Because even when people say that the Western interest, the United Kingdom, the United States, they want to submerge the interests of Nigerians and stuff, it is our leaders that are selling us, selling our national treasure to them. And you don't blame them for buying at a cheaper rate. I'm sorry. You don't blame them because they are looking for way to improve their own nationalistic sovereignty. So you cannot blame them for seeing a very good deal coming from an African leader. I put the onus on these African leaders that sell their country off for little coins. Because if I'm in the shoes of these white men, I'll still do the same in the sense that I want the best for my country. Yes, you can call it morally repugnant or inhuman, but that is just the real world. Reality is just the way it is. Bad things happen. People fight for their own interest. So we cannot keep, beating down the horse and, saying white men are evil, white men oppressed us, every other thing. I hate this idea of looking at the history of the world from the oppressed and the oppressor and the oppressed point of view, or the lens of the oppressor and the oppressed. It is crazy. Nobody is perfect. So I'm happy that this woman, spoke about this and it's resonating on X. Many people are sharing it and quoting it and reposting because people are tired. People are tired of being called racist just because they are saying a common thing that every rational thinking person should be, should have to, should be concerned about. But they are saying these things and people think that they are racist or they are misogynist or they are homophobic. It's crazy. So I'm going to link the description of the full speech she gave. And I hope that in my own little way I've convinced a certain demography of my audience that the white men are not the evil in the world. that rather we need to look inwards and better our society and our communities and our countries alike. That's all I'm going to say about that. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. You know I love you, but God loves you more. Until next time, peace.